thank you for joining us on this edition of the Deputy Podcast, the official podcast of the Oconee County Sheriff's Office SC, for our Behind the Badge edition, as we talk with deputies and folks here at the Sheriff's Office to learn more about them and their story, where they're from, how they got into this job, what they do, all of that stuff. This is an opportunity for us to really showcase the men and women that work at the Sheriff's Office, and a chance for you to learn more about them. Today, our very special guest is Sergeant Richard Wint. He is kind of in a unique position here at the Sheriff's Office. He works for the detention center, but he's got some other really cool features with his certifications and whatnot that we're going to talk about. So, Richard, welcome to the Deputy Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, you are employed by the detention center, which is a part of the Sheriff's Office, but you're actually assigned to the detention center.
Yeah. So with my Class 1 certification, it'll be LECO, which is Class 1 certified officer that works directly at a jail.
Okay. So when you say Class 1, so like I'm a Class 1, I'm a certified law enforcement officer, so I can go out and lock people up. Just to kind of clarify, so detention officers are not traditionally, or I guess technically, Class 1 officers, they're Class 2, right?
Correct.
So as a Class 2 officer, what can you do that I can't do?
It involves more dealing with the inmates, having custody of those inmates and working with inmates. That's the main difference of it. Roadside, you arrest someone, you bring them to the jail, you drop them off, and we take care of them from there on. So that's what most of the difference in details of that. As a Class 2 as well as leaving work, that's where our power stops. So
okay,
when we're not working at the jail, that's where we're not able to arrest and make things like that happen. So
a normal detention deputy, even though your badge says detention deputy, for a detention officer, once they leave the building or once they leave the property, then they are just a normal person like everybody else.
Yep.
Okay.
Still an officer, but your powers ain't there.
Gotcha. Okay. So now what's interesting though is, and I learned this recently, as a Class 1 officer, that I have arrest powers outside of the building, anywhere in Oconee County. But there's an interesting thing that I learned the other day is I actually cannot come work the jail.
No. Like I said, I think we deal more with the custody of the inmates. So a lot of the training that we do involves that or details that. And, roadside, it won't be as much training on taking custody of the inmates and, how to move the inmates and deal with inmates on a continuous basis.
All right. Right. I tell you, my hat's off to you because you guys are, I don't want to say stuck, but you guys have to deal with the inmates for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or however long they're there with you. Yep. And, me as a road guy, I arrest somebody out on the road. If they're amped up, angry, whatever, I bring them, I do my paperwork at the jail, and then they're y'all's problem. But y'all can't escape from them.
No.
So my hat's off to you, Wint, because I could not do your job. There's a lot of us that couldn't do your job. But what's interesting here is you actually are the one and only one that is certified both as a Class 1 deputy, full arrest powers, and as a Class 2.
Correct.
So you got that, about a year ago or so?
Correct. About a year now with my Class 1. I've been with the department now 6 years. So I've had my Class 2 here in South Carolina going on 6 years now.
Now, why did you want to get both Class 1? You already were Class 2. What made you want to get the Class 1 certification?
Opportunity, just to work both sides, as well as my position at the jail as a trainer, gives me more opportunity to train and get certifications in training, both sides of roadside and the jail side.
And you do a lot with training. You are the training sergeant at the jail, so you're over all the training, right?
Correct. Well, over training, and I have a lieutenant over training as well.
So that means you do all the work.
We do the work together.
Oh, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Look, we're sergeants. We know how it is. We make the lieutenants look good, right?
If the lieutenant looks good, we look good. That's the best way to do it.
That's right. That's right. So now starting here recently, you started coming over to the sheriff's office side of the house and started working with some training with us.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about what type of training are you doing? Like, are you coming into, teaching us how to deal with inmates? What are you kind of doing with training?
Well, the training department altogether, both roadside training department and the jail side, we're working on coming together as a training department for the sheriff's department as a whole, doing a lot of cross training as much as we can make happen, and being able to switch both sides. Well, right now I've been doing the ground defense and defensive tactics for the road side and the jail side. We haven't yet with the road guys, but we're working on getting some Gracie stuff done. I did a few classes with jail, and just the training department altogether. We're working on just getting some good training in to make better officers overall.
And I know in our last training, and for those of you out there listening to this on the audio only podcast, let me give you a little description here. Wint is no small fellow. I'm 5'8" and about 150 pounds, give or take. Wint you're what, 6'3"?
6'3".
6'3" and built solid muscles. So for you guys that are listening to us, just imagine this, if you will. Little tiny me, 5'8", 150 pounds. This man right here, and by the way, who's excellent at this man right here, we've got to do some ground defense. We're doing some rolling around on the mats. You could probably squish me with your thumb, but it's such a great challenge, and it builds our character. And for me as a smaller deputy, it really is helpful for me to train with somebody like you that's definitely a lot bigger than me, a lot stronger. It helps to give me those tools to help me be better against a formidable opponent like yourself.
Right.
And I'm sure the same could be said for guys and girls that are equally as muscular and height as you are. I'm sure it's good for them too to go against somebody their own size.
Yeah. Something I always say, especially during our training, is we don't get to choose who we get
That's right.
against. It's not a match where you got the same weight class you're working in. So in this line of work, we don't get to choose.
It's not like WWE where
right.
you're in the lightweight class or the heavyweight class. This is a roll of the dice, if you will.
Correct. And overall, our job is to safely gain control. And by working with the different body sizes and understanding them going against each other, that gives us a better opportunity to, if you're out working in the streets or you're working in a jail, you go hands-on in a situation, and it's not just taking someone down. It's a control takedown where you're not injuring yourself as well as injuring an inmate or some person. So,
right.
No.
And a lot of this can go to both sides, right? To the road and to the jail.
Correct.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
We know kind of what you do. And most people know what a jail is. We know what the jailers do, detention deputies, correctional officers. We kind of have the idea. But let's talk about Richard Wint for a second. So you're not from Oconee County.
No, originally from, well, I'll say Orlando, Florida. My wife gets mad at me because she's from Orlando. I'm from the outskirts of Orlando, Oviedo, Florida. But
You're the suburbs or like the south part of like
it's the countryside. Let's put it that way. Of
so swampland.
Orlando. Yeah.
No offense to you Floridians out there, but
It is swampland.
Swampland.
Yep.
Okay. And then you moved up here to Oconee how long ago?
Exactly 6 years.
That's all right, when you started working here.
Yep. First day I moved up here to start working.
How in the world did you find Oconee County from the Everglades of Florida? I'm just curious.
So my sister actually found Seneca, and she was working at the detention center at the time. And for like 2 years, she just kept calling me, telling me, bro, you need to come up here. work up here. You'll love it. And we came to visit one day, and I was just like, I may go ahead and put in an application. Put application, and this is where I've been since.
So now, is it an older sister?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing what every good sibling does and listens to their older sister, right? Their big sister, and follows their guidance.
Yep, I followed her here, and now she's in Texas. So
now you're not going to Texas.
No,
that's not going to
anywhere.
happen.
No, she left me, but it's all right. I love it here, so I'm not going anywhere.
Good deal. Now, where is your family from? So is your whole family from Florida?
Mom's side is originally from South Carolina area. A mixture of the two. Dad's side is from the Caribbean, West Indians.
The Caribbean.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what part of the Caribbean.
So my dad is from Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
And my mom is from, I think it's Greenberg County, South Carolina, over the Geechee side.
Down towards Charleston.
Yep.
Okay. So from the Caribbean. Now that's fascinating.
Yep.
You ever go back and visit?
I haven't been. I have made plans, but I haven't been. But I'll be going pretty soon.
You also have family down there?
Yeah,
extended family?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So with Black History Month, one of the big things that we've been talking about is history, heritage. In our last deputy podcast, we talked with retired Lieutenant Chuck Hunter about some of the stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about some heritage and some stuff there, because it's piqued my curiosity with you having family from the Caribbean. When we talk about Black History Month, when a lot of Americans think about Black History Month, they think about people like Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They think way back even into the our darker past of the slave trade and different things like that. But I'm curious with this is, with your family being from the Caribbean, is Black History Month different for you?
Not really. Being raised here in the States, everything kind of falls in play when it comes to Black history. Other than just my ancestry, I look at like my uncles, my father, grandmothers. Their history is my Black history as well. So the things that they couldn't do at certain times, but they paved the way for me to be able to do, that's Black history to me. It's not. It has to do with slavery. It has to do with all that stuff.
Right.
But you can't forget. Like closer ancestors that passed away, that paved the ways for you.
And in a lot of ways, we learn from that history, and we learn from those lessons. We can't change what happened.
Right.
But by having the open discussions and being able to talk about it, we as a country, as a culture as a whole, can learn from it, knowing the past to shape the future. So with thinking about that, you said you were raised in Florida. What was it like for you as a Caribbean / African / Geechee, a very, very diverse person growing up in Florida? What was it like for you growing up?
It was a little bit confusing. Being where I was on my dad's side of the family very often. I was raised in the household with my mom, so I was with her side all the time. And then, back and forth from Caribbean to more of a country lifestyle. And so I would say I'm directly down the middle country and very Caribbean at the same time. But it just took me growing up and being who I am to, accept that. Because at times you can be not Caribbean enough or not country enough. And that was always something growing up. But I've always just been happy just to be me.
So thinking back, I ask a lot of the folks on the podcast this: what is the best piece of advice that you have ever been given? It could be from anybody. What's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
I may be saying it wrong, but your name means something.
Your name means something.
So behind that, it means pretty much if somebody speak your name, what you have done, the person that you are makes your name. So don't tarnish your name, pretty much. And that's been something that stuck to my head since I was a kid. So I've always felt like when you say my name, you should think of this, because that's what I'm presenting myself as. That's what I bust my butt to become. So I think that's top.
That's very, very wise words. Wise words. When somebody says your name, Richard Wint, what is it that you want them to see or think about?
Just someone that's hardworking, someone that's reliable, for my family, a protector, someone that's leading, all of that.
And how big is your family?
Very, very big.
Very big.
Yeah. Siblings, I have 6 older, 6 younger siblings.
So 6 older, 6 younger. So that means 13?
Yeah.
Including you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not all in the same household. We have different moms and dads, a few of us, and it's
okay.
But we have a very close relationship between all of us, I think.
And I'm sure y'all always get along perfectly. There's never any squabbles. There's never any tension, right? I mean, with 13 kids in a house.
We have our squabbles, but when we get together, it's always a good time. So,
but you can work them out.
Oh yeah.
Because if not, you'll use some of those defensive tactics, right?
No need.
No,
we're gonna have a good time no
hey.
matter what. Yeah, we don't. It never gets that far.
That's good. That's really good. I love what you said about your name, and that is in essence your reputation.
Yes.
I wish more people in this world embraced that wisdom, and when people think about a name, it's really your identity, and I love your identity with that, because it's such a beautiful identity. It's such a beautiful history, family history, but also a personality history.
Right.
And that's what makes you so good at your job training, because you're able to do that so well, and you really live up to that.
I try.
That's awesome. Richard, thank you so much for being with us today on the Deputy Podcast. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have.
I did, and appreciate being here.
Good deal.
It's an honor.
And thank you for joining us on the Deputy Podcast, the official podcast of the Oconee County Sheriff's Office SC. For those of you listening to our audio-only platforms on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout, just remember that we have a video version available too on our YouTube channel, so be sure to check us out. If you're following us on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can stay notified of new content as we release it and we put stuff out. As a reminder, too, the Deputy Podcast, we air twice a month, usually on the first and third Fridays. The first Friday is our standard podcast, where we talk about anything and everything law enforcement related. And then on the third Friday of the month is our Behind the Badge series, where we talk with different folks from the Sheriff's Office, and we get to learn about them and the person behind that badge. So with that, we hope to see you next time. I'm Sergeant Alan Sayre for the Oconee County Sheriff's Office. This has been the Deputy Podcast, the official podcast of the Oconee County Sheriff's Office.